Thank you, Grace. I'm so privileged to be sitting here with you to share who I am and what I do back in my country, Cameroon. I'm called Awah Francisca. I'm a survivor, and presently we run an organization called Survivors Network Cameroon/Africa. It's a community-based organization, but we are so fortunate that our little efforts that we are coming together as survivors, we are putting together, is cutting across some sub-Saharan African countries of Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. Yeah, we've been able to rescue 26 women. That was in our earliest years when we started, from Kuwait to Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, and Senegal. And then recently, last year, we were able to rescue 35 women from Beirut. That's from Lebanon, after the bomb blast. And with the COVID-19 situation, they were really stranded and homeless. And then, fortunately, Survivors Network was there to lay their own helping hands by funding their flight and picking them up at the airport, giving them ground transportation back to their respective homes and communities of origin. Not only that, due to the fact that it was in the heart of the COVID-19, we were fortunate to give them locally made face masks that were usable, reusable, and washable, as well as bottle of hand sanitizers. So they were very, very happy that we'd offer them those services.
Francisca, honestly, I am so blown away by your work in protecting, I think especially migrant workers in these countries. And, you know, after the bomb blast in Beirut, we were living through a time of compounding crisis, the pandemic, the explosion, already exploitative labor.
Yeah.
And the fact that your organization could help these women bring them home when the system they were in was not protecting them. In fact, they were harming them.
Yeah. Actually, it was really a great relief to the women because most of them, they've just gone there and their families have sold valuable properties, borrowed monies to send them there. And then on arriving there, they are meeting the unforeseen that nobody ever planned it would happen. Then returning home was a problem. The government was not there to do anything. So we really came in to bring them back home, though they came back home empty-handed. But I think they were really happy to be back with their families and to be back in their comfort zone, though with empty hand, nothing to start off life with, but at least they were safe and they were free from the torture that they were experiencing under another crisis ongoing. Notwithstanding, it was a horrible situation. And this situation, I'm highlighting this due to what we just had, the panel we just had this morning on effective collaboration. Could you imagine I was held down at the airport for almost 4 hours by the police because we don't collaborate, because we don't know each other on the field. So we're being held. Who are you people? Who gave you money to come and give these ladies? Give us the money, let's give the ladies instead of you. A little girl standing there or a little woman, maybe I don't look so big in front of the authorities. So you need to see that our work needs cross collaborations and coordination. So that's just highlighting a situation that we've just tackled this morning. And it is a good eye-opener that that's something that we need to look at it. It's just a connection to what we just did last year, but it's a very relevant point that I've raised. And
It's such an important point. I think, you know, we know that migrant workers have been treated very badly for some time now. And when you add more crisis to this, the situation only gets worse. I think, as you said, they were escaping torture, in your words, but they also came back after maybe some had spent months working with no money.
Yeah.
They weren't paid at all for their work.
yeah. They had no salary. Some were even homeless. And during that time, it was really fortunate that we were so opportune to meet with the U.S. Embassy, and they had to share their stories at the meeting. Yes, I facilitated them to be part of that meeting because they need their stories to be heard. It can't be me. I'm a survival leader, but we run a survivors network. And as a survivor, you are needed to sit on that same table with me so that we share our diverse experiences so that the authorities that are looking up to help us know from where or from which angle they can tackle each and every one or each and every group of what you've experienced. So the ladies were so happy. They were so happy that they have come back home and then they are being recognized to be placed at such platform to share their experiences. And though after sharing, it's a little bit slow, but we are hoping that something good will come out because they have been of great importance. They have been helping a lot. So we are still hoping that the U.S. Embassy is working on that. The U.S. Embassy in Cameroon is working on that. And in due time, yes, our organization has been funded 3 times by them. just to empower women. And that's really great. We've done that to over 400 women. And evaluating and monitoring what we've done, the women are really better off. They have really realized that going out of the country, migrating for job purposes is not the best. The little resources we have within, we can put them into effective use and we'll still make out something, and a sustainable livelihood will be attained. So we are trying to instill in the women that we are trying to change the narrative of you must travel out of the country, because that's something that is eating up my country, specifically Cameroon. Myself, I'm a victim of stigmatization, not from my community, but from my immediate family. I stand everywhere, anywhere, and I say it. Most often I go out for conferences, they will sit behind and tell me not to come. My life depends on my community. My life is to make that change my community needs from me, so that people will see reasons that you can make it anywhere, everywhere, not only by getting into an airplane and then your family becomes so happy. They are termed the prestigious family. I'm not saying it's not good, but go for a specific, a good purpose. Go for education, family reunion. Don't just get up and be convinced that if you go there, maybe their monies are found on trees. So I'm trying to just like change the narrative, remove that idea from them, that concentrate on what you are doing, do it at their best, and you will realize that you are doing so well.
Francisca, what you're doing is systems change. You're changing the systems, addressing the root causes, looking at why women feel they need to migrate, but also being very honest about that exploitation that they will face in so many places. And I just want to reiterate that point that expertise, survival leadership, experience is expertise.
Yes.
Your experience is expertise that this space so desperately needs, and it makes me happy to hear the US Embassy is being led by your expertise. You, as a female founder, leader, survivor advocate, because this is what the space needs to see, is a focus on leaders like yourself. You touched upon before about conflict as well, and I think on the theme of compounding crisis, this is another one to talk about. I imagine where there's conflict and displacement, there are even less jobs. People feel maybe even more pressure to go overseas to work.
Yeah. Actually, the crisis has been there since 2016 and it's ongoing. It is one of the crises that is underspoken in the world, but it's really ravaging. Almost 2.2 million people are in need because of the crisis. Many have been killed. Many have been displaced. Some have run to neighboring Nigeria for refuge because it is in those two English-speaking regions in Cameroon that are bordered by Nigeria. Some have been displaced to other French regions in Cameroon. And just imagine you get up one morning to see your house put down to ashes. You are left with nothing. You were living in your community. You were a rich farmer, depending on your cocoa farm. And you spend all your money to get chemicals for the cocoa bean to get ready, and then now you've been born and you'll be pushed away. You are going to nowhere and you are starting life all over. Those situations have forced many people into trafficking situation, forced labor. Women are getting into prostitution because of forced cohabitation. In cities where they are seeking refuge, they tend to seek for shelter under men that they exchange their body in exchange for food and the shelter they get. Children are being sent to family relatives to go to school, and the relatives turn those children into hawkers, and then for their economic gains, and the children don't end up going to school. So there's a lot. It has really doubled the amount of human trafficking in Cameroon, and that is one of the reasons that sparked us to come up with a safe home and shelter home, because it was really a need that we need to do that. Before doing that, personally, my home was serving as that. But thank God to funding from some good organizations of goodwill. We were fortunate to set up that. And we didn't only set just the safe home, because another reason, you can't bring me, I just sit here. Let's say I'm here in Marrakech. I get up in the morning, I have a very great breakfast. In the afternoon, my lunch is there. In the evening, my dinner is there. That's nothing. You are doing nothing to me. That's what we thought. So we struggled again, and we seek for more funding. Then we'll set aside a small-scale, multi-purpose vocational training skill center, because the women, and it's well-disciplined. In the morning, you get up at 9, you must be there. If you are not there, you need to give us a valid reason why you are still in your room, so that before leaving, there are short-term skills. They do crocheting, which is easy to do. They do the renowned embroidery called the atogo. Cameroon is noted for that. Yes, they do knitting, flip-flop knitting. So with that, even for 2 weeks before you leave the shelter, you've learned a skill. And it's very easy to set up, though we have not reached that level because we are still seeking to get resources to set each and every one of them in those small resources that with just like $40 a woman can set up something for herself. Even sitting in her room, even sitting in front of a comfort zone, she can just use a needle and a thread on the dress and she's doing something that she can put in the market and put food on her table. So the crisis has been bad, but it has helped us to reshape our activities and to add more things that we do. So sometimes a disadvantage might have some little disadvantage that the impact is really positively greatly felt. So we never thought of a safe home. We never thought that there will be a day that people will be displaced. But now, due to the crisis, we have realized that a safe home is necessary. And not only that, during some sessions, we train them on locally made snacks like puff balls, peanut, because you can use that local snacks and set up yourself. Every Saturday, every weekend, we go there and train one skills made out of flour dough, which is commonly consumed. You can do it and your child can hawk, or you yourself can just hawk it and you make some money out of it. And also give them session. We have a psychosocial first aid trained personnel, yes. She trained them and they also give them talk on their sexual and reproductive health rights because due to living in the forest, because some of them were displaced from their comfort villages to the forest, deep into the forest, living in shelters, living in thatched made locally by them for safety. So in that forest, they were really abused. Teenage pregnancy, a lot of things, negative things have happened to them. So they have a lot to build them back, to bring them back. Although it's very difficult to really bring that person back to the person used to be, but we try our best to reshape them to the best, to reintegrate them to the new communities they are finding themselves.
Something that is so beautiful about your work is how you honor people. As you say, we acknowledge what people have gone through, we support them, we hear them, we welcome them, and then we equip them with skills. And I think that is something we talk about at Walk Free a lot, is how we unlock the economic agency, especially for women and girls. This is the key to sustainable development. We know this is a key to tackling forced marriage, child marriage, forced labour, every form of modern slavery. And what you're creating is a sustainable solution to this where people can protect themselves. They don't need international NGO to protect them. They need community leadership to shine a way forward and to show new pathways, how they can generate their own income, be safe, be within their culture, not have to travel to do this, especially if they're not going to honour these women. I think that's the most confusing part for a lot of people is countries like Kuwait, many countries around the world, their economies rely on migrant workers. Their countries would collapse without them. These people are essential, important, should be valuable parts of the economy, and yet their rights are the first to be taken away. And until these countries are going to honour in the law, in the home, in the culture, the rights of these people from your country, from many other countries, then they shouldn't get this labour.
Absolutely right. We need to always tackle it from the root cause. That's what I always go around and I tell people. Stop looking at what can be done. Can we try to look under that table what provoked this person to be in that situation? And that's why we are tackling. And women specifically at the pivotal point of the society, in our society. So my target is women. And a woman that is empowered is a nation that is empowered. I believe in women so much because I've lived in a society that without my mother, then I don't know I could have attained the level of education I attained. Yes, my father was there, but he gave up, but my mother didn't give up. Yes. So I know the relevance of a woman being empowered. That's why we have our little motto like save a woman at a time, save a nation, save the world. So I believe in empowering women. Like 80% of our events now relies on women being empowered. I want them to stand for themselves, not to be disrespectful, but not to rely on any man for anything, because we love beautiful things. Don't see your friend putting on a beautiful hair or shoes and say you want to have that. You'll be pushed if you are not hardworking, if you are not doing anything to go and do the wrong thing to get the thing you want. So I always try to dissuade them to my best to be hardworking, to be focused. If you set up any business, don't be discouraged. There must be challenge in everything we do, and take those challenges as a positive step to reshape what you are doing or to progress. Because without challenges, for example, I will highlight a bit about how challenges has made Survivors Network progress. When we started, we were giving women actual cash. They would just come like, I want to set up a hairdressing parlor, a hairdressing salon. We'll ask your expenses, we'll give you the money. But many of those women, they use those money for diverse purposes. When you have physical cash, if you are not careful, you might change the purpose that money was meant for. You might just turn and say, oh, Grace has a nice boot. I need this boot before I need to go and hit Cameroon with this boot. You might just forget about the purpose and go for the boot. So we realized that that was like 80% a failure. Then we reshaped now to train women on locally made snacks that are easily consumable, that you must sell. Because don't train them on something that you go a day without selling. Then how would they survive? So we train them, and with that, many women were being trained with little amount and were being established with little amount of money. We gave them resources. No money was given, actual resources. If you were trained on a peanut, we give you flour, we give you egg, we give you granules to go, and we give you vegetable oil to fry, we give you frying pan. Every resources you need was given to you in great quantity that you can start up. Yes. And then that was also a failure, because somebody can get up in the morning and just use the egg to do their omelets for breakfast, or use the everything and then forget about the purpose why we gave them those packages. So we reshaped now to vocational training skill, because with that skill and the situation at hand in our country, you can be displaced from the safe home, because the center is also open for women who can come from outside around. Yes, women come from outside to learn the skill as well. So you can immediately be displaced, but with that skill, you can go to a different town and you can get a job. Yes, you can see somebody with a sewing machine and beg, please, I can sew. And the person will admit you to sew. If they discover that your talent is so good, they can put you on a payroll and you get a salary from the skill. So that's how challenges shaped our activities in the organization. So I love challenges. That's very upset to say it, but I love it. Because you will be down for that moment, but you help you. It's always like one famous musician said, at first, if you don't succeed, you brace yourself up and try again. So I keep on having challenges, I brace it off, and I try again, and I try harder.
Well, I feel humbled to sit here with you. You're such an exceptional leader, advocate, entrepreneur, what you're creating, disrupting systems, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, please. I think we've covered so much, but if there's any other comments, please.
I just wish to conclude that as a survivors should engage themselves in their own personal endeavors. Yes. I would not say because I've been fortunate. I wrote a project for myself as a survivor that need empowerment out of the organization first. And fortunately, I was funded. We own a poultry farm. I own myself as a survivor, as Francisca, I own a poultry farm that sometimes I plow back my profit. Sometimes I use my profit to get to the organization activities when funding is not forthcoming, because we can't rely on funders. That makes you somehow a beggar. I'm sorry to use that word, but try to endeavor in personal things that in the absence of funding from funders, you can set up yourself. And then I'm pleading that survivors, we shouldn't overwork ourselves because we have that duty to give to others. Sometimes we need to ask our partners to provide us self-care. We need self-care. We need to relax and put our computers down and see the world like, oh my God, this place is beautiful, and maybe go for a swimming or just feel yourself. So that's what I want to share. That's my conclusion. Survivors need self-care.
Defiance of exploitation is joy.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing that you're a leader and that you do this work every day, but also it has to be for joy and for celebration and for love. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.